And welcome back to Big Movie Mouth Off. We're here at Broovy Cinema Pub, our kind hosts, reviewing more movies. I'm Jeff Weiss with MSN Entertainment.
And I'm Jimmy Martin with Slug Magazine. You can find Big Movie Mouth Off on Xfinity Channel 6, also on their on-demand system. It's on the Utah On Demand, Salt Lake Alternative. Just tons of movies there for you. You're like, I want to check that movie out. Should I see if it's worth my $40 with tickets and popcorn? We'll tell you. That's how this kind of works. You know, it's a loving relationship.
We put the mouth off in Big Movie Mouth Off.
And also on our Facebook page. You can find us on there, facebook.com/Big Movie Mouth Off. Free movie passes, trivia, all that fun stuff.
And hoo-ha.
Ooh.
Speaking of hoo-ha, this week we're reviewing Cloud Atlas, the multi-storied science fiction fantasy, I hesitate to call it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Based on the best-selling novel, supposedly unfilmable.
I've heard that about many books.
Yep. Those brave souls who have undertaken this, Tom Tykwer, Run Lola Run,
I know him,
who originally hatched this, couldn't get funding to do it, brought in the Wachowskis.
They've got money.
They did. They put it together. They've directed halves of the films. So you get 3 segments directed by the Wachowskis, 3 directed by Tom Tykwer, ostensibly about man's destiny, love, reincarnation, a whole bunch of other things.
A lot of other things.
With a star-studded cast that includes Halle Berry, Tom Hanks, Jim Broadbent, Jim Sturgis.
Hugo Weaving.
Yes, the Wachowskis love him.
Hey, you hungry?
This is the Cloud Atlas Sextet?
I doubt there's more than a handful of copies in all of North America.
But I know it. I know it.
That's it. The music from my dream.
There are whole movements I wrote imagining us meeting again and again in different lives, in different ages.
I can't explain it, but I knew when I opened that door,
A powerful deja vu ran through my bones. I heard it in a dream. I was in a nightmarish cafe, and the waitresses, they all had the same face.
No reason to hide. I know you are Sonmi 451.
yesterday, my life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another. You ever think the universe was against you? Fear, belief, love, phenomena that determine the course of our lives. These forces begin long before we are born and continue after we perish.
Some of this feels like stunt casting to me, and I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to put together a $100 million sci-fi fantasy,
That's 3 hours long.
yep, gonna need faces, get people into the theater.
And who doesn't like Tom Hanks?
Fortunately, sometimes when they're under makeup, heavy makeup, doesn't matter how hard they try, they still look ridiculous, and you
Yeah.
still know it's them.
Yeah, it's okay. So as you said, like it's this multi-storied thing. Basically, it's 6 short films.
Yes.
I would say. 6 short films.
Starting back in the
1800s,
yeah,
around there, and going all the way. It's funny because there is one. I think I remember the year 2144, but there's even beyond that. But they don't have a year anymore. It's just called like 106 Winters After the Fall, which I thought was really cool. So you've got these 6 stories that, for me, don't really intertwine.
no.
And I could do away with 2 of them.
Yeah, and now here's the thing. The threads between the stories apparently are much more clear in the book.
Well, that's great for the book.
Yes,
I'm not
hence,
reading the book.
hence the unfilmable part. But you're right. There's a 1970s segment in particular
Yeah.
that's a real clunker.
It just seems haphazard, but you're gonna get mad at me because I think the present day one of about people getting trapped in a retirement home is just so off from this movie. And maybe that's even
It does, but I enjoyed it.
I
but
thought it
you're
was
right.
Cocoon 3.
Yeah, it does not fit.
It doesn't fit in this whole thing. And the future ones I think I enjoyed the most. And the 1800 on with Tom Hanks on a I keep calling it a pirate ship, but it's a slave ship. I could just do without completely.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there watching these things, thinking, these are 6 short films. This movie's 3 hours long. 2 of them I'm not interested in. We could knock this thing down about 2 hours, and it'd feel a lot faster, a lot tighter. Acting was fine. I like Tom Hanks a lot. Halle Berry.
In most of it.
Yeah.
Halle Berry I could do without too.
She was fine in like one of them. And it's kind of weird because when I'm looking at this, I almost want to, it's almost you can't review the film as a whole because it's 6 films embedded within it.
Right.
So it's hard to say, because there were moments where I thought Halle Berry was just fine. And other times I was just laughing. I'm like, go away.
Like, yeah.
But I do
One around World War II, where she's in makeup,
Yeah.
and when she shows up, you're like, oh.
And her nose is like this big. And I'm like, what is
Oh.
See, and that's the thing. Some of this makeup is amazing.
Yes.
And some of it is horrible.
Like turning Keith David and Jim Sturgis into Asians.
Yeah, but in reverse, I'm blanking on the actress's name, of Asian descent, and turning her into Caucasian.
Yes.
And it's so unnerving, and it just doesn't look right that it took
No.
me right out of the film, which is not the purpose of makeup.
No.
And so I'm sitting there going, she looks odd. Why does that look so weird? And then I'm going, wait, what did they say? I missed like a minute of the film because I'm sitting there just disturbed by this makeup
Yeah.
design. So like that really bugged the hell out of me.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. There are interesting elements.
Yeah.
Because some of what it has to say about man's freedom and,
Mm-hmm.
and predestination, intriguing.
Yeah, and I think the story that takes place in the future, not only is it intriguing, I think it's beautiful. I think it takes place in like New Seoul or something like that.
Right.
And you got skyscrapers beyond the the limits, and it's just like that was gorgeous. And so like there were some elements of this film that I absolutely loved, and then some I just
Despise.
it would make me cringe in my chair,
And that's how I felt too.
Yeah. So I keep, for as much, and there's so much to take from this film. And at first I was like maybe 3, but I think I'm kind of slipping to 2.5.
Yeah, and I'm a little under that
Really?
too. Yeah. Again, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad,
Like it's.
it's almost unwatchable.
And I want to know again, and the directors aren't saying it. They're not saying who did what. That's what I've heard.
It does at the end.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I missed it because I had heard that in a review they were not saying who did what. So I'm like, what is that? So no one can get blamed for it?
Wachowskis did the future and the early.
I could see that.
Tykwer does the midsection.
Got it. Yeah. Well, then I'd probably go with the Wachowskis.
Strangely.
So, yeah, is it unfilmable? No. There were moments where they filmed it just right.
Yeah. Is it unwatchable? No.
No.
There are times when it's very watchable. I would say it's an intriguing failure.
I don't know if I call it a failure. That's where I would disagree. Because when I walked out, I was not upset or mad. When I walk out of certain films, I'm like, ugh. And that's a failure to me. Like this one, I was like, you take the good, you take the bad. It's kind of like The Facts of Life.
Which should never be made into a movie. Speaking of infilmable,
No. So yeah, it's. I think I'm 2.5. You're 2. It's right in there, and it's. If I could, I want to say like could just take out 2 segments, it would skyrocket it.
and yet I have the feeling there are director's cuts that make the film even longer.
You know what I'm really interested to see people take this like when it comes on Blu-ray and re-edit it and
Right.
shuffle it around. That'll be interesting to me. So there you have it. Cloud Atlas. Some people may still think it's unfilmable. Who knows after seeing it? Go check it out if you think that you would like to spend 3 hours in the theater.
Being perplexed.
Until next time, we'll be sitting here still watching Cloud Atlas for the second time. I want to go home.